Florida, we've been teasing it for long enough, right?
Yes, indeed. So, this is significant just in terms of the broader sort of conversation about where we are in terms of our economy, in terms of home ownership, in terms of some of the political contours. Even Ron DeSantis and Republicans have been really proud of how many people have moved to the state of Florida and how vibrant that economy has been. There are some signs that some of that could be reversing for a range of reasons. Number one, housing prices have just gone up in the state of Florida because a lot of people move there, and housing prices are kind of going up everywhere. So that's number one. Obviously, the mortgage interest rate situation, again, that's a national issue. You also have had this problem with home property owners insurance, which is a total disaster, which I'll get into the specifics of a little bit more in a moment. And then you have a situation after, remember that condo building that collapsed and killed a bunch of people? It was horrifying. Well, in response to that, they're imposing these levies so that these older condo buildings can be brought up to the code so you don't see that again. But that's causing issues too with the prices and the level of those assessments, which sometimes can reach into like hundreds of thousands of dollars for individual condo owners. So that, and then most obviously, recently, you had these two back-to-back massive storms hit almost the entire state of Florida, which is making a lot of people go like, ugh, why do I want to move into a place that's just going to be routinely hit by massive storms and flooded, and I can't even get property owners insurance? So it is really putting a chill on that whole market. We can put this up on the screen. This first element here from the Wall Street Journal. They say the Great Florida Migration is coming undone. A surplus of housing inventory and dwindling buyer interest are slowing sales. Hurricanes and extreme weather are making it worse. They profile at the beginning this man, Anthony Holmes, who was part of that Florida migration. He moved from Virginia to a gated suburban community in Tampa. Now that he's had to leave, he's a victim of a glutted housing market where buyers are increasingly hard to find. He paid $550,000 for his 5-bedroom home, spent another $50,000 on solar panels and interior improvements, but now he's having to move back to Virginia for work. He thought he'd be able to sell his house right away. He listed it in February. He has had no luck. He's dropped the price 5 different times. He's just trying to break even. And he says, quote, I can't unload the thing. In 8 months, I've had 0 offers.
Jeez.
No one even showed up to the open houses. Nobody. So they said another sign that we should all pay attention to here, that the housing market is approaching a potential inflection point, is that institutional investors are starting to sell and pull back. Many are eager to cash in on the huge increase in prices that many of these homes have seen since 2010 and are now pruning their Florida housing exposure. Just to give you a few more numbers, and I'll get your reaction to all of this, Saagar, they say Tampa, Orlando, and much of the Space Coast are also experiencing this Florida housing reversal. Inventory for single-family homes and condos in these areas was up more than 50% in August versus the last year. At the same time, demand has decreased 10% or more in these areas. About half of the homes listed for sale in Tampa, which is where the individual I was talking about was struggling to sell his home, about half of them have experienced price reductions as of September 9th. That's the 3rd highest share of all U.S. major metro areas. So it does seem like something is going on here.
Absolutely. Can we put the next one, please, up on the screen? Because this is probably one of the most important parts, is about all of these properties that are for sale just skyrocketed. The guy was speculating what are the odds these are Airbnbs with owners who are about to declare bankruptcy. But what you actually see inside all the data is it's a flat housing market from March 2023 onward. 2 huge hurricanes that have now come through in the last year. Skyrocketing insurance of 400%. And then on top of that, you have there's not a lot of faith inside of the actual state that the current kludge of insurance system that's been put together after a lot of the insurance companies pulled out will even hold up. And this was the most interesting part to me. Let's put the next one, please, on the screen. What we saw is that the insurer of last resort is actually already in trouble, and that Milton may be a big part of it. It's called the Citizens Property Insurance Group. It's a state nonprofit home insurance that was set up as the last resort. 1.3 million policies are in force in the last month, 3 times as many compared to 5 years ago. It's the largest provider in the entire state. The problem is that the governor already warned that Citizens was not solvent and that, quote, it can't function with millions of people on that because if a storm hits, it's going to cause problems for the state. Quote, thankfully, they've avoided the worst case scenario for Milton, but that doesn't change that Citizens is one catastrophic storm away from complete and total insolvency, which means what? That they're either going to get bailed out by the federal government or those insurance premiums are about to go from 400% of 5 years ago to like 1,000% of 5 years ago. So you can't even imagine what that would do, especially in a high interest rate environment. Think about what your mortgage payment is going to look like from interest and insurance. It honestly it could go way over principal if you start to think about what the cost of living there would be.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's absolutely true. No, I mean, if you think about 400% increase in those costs over just a few years, that's mind-blowing.
Right.
And so what's happened is a bunch of the local private insurers just cancel policy. We're not doing this anymore. They're out. And so people were forced to, into this property owner's insurance of last resort, which is, federal and state backed, Citizens Property Insurance Corporation. And you have politicians here in DC raising alarms that they're on the brink of insolvency if they get hit with another catastrophic event. They're already probably going to have to pay out billions of dollars in claims after these two storms. And so while this outfit has a mechanism in order to be able to make sure it remains solvent, that mechanism is basically just jacking up the prices like crazy, not only on homes, but also on, other forms of like cars and boats and whatever. Yes. And how politically feasible is that really going to be for whoever is governor, whether it's Ron DeSantis or whoever's governor of the state at the time? And so Sheldon Whitehouse was saying, should claims exceed the insurer's ability to pay, Citizens does have a mechanism to pass those losses on to Florida families who are already paying sky-high premiums. Recouping billions of dollars in losses from Floridians is unlikely to be feasible economically or politically, let alone in time to pay massive claims, hence the Budget Committee concern about possible requests for a federal bailout. So whether or not you live in Florida, very possible this could be a question that the whole country is faced with here shortly. But, it's an irony that the very things that, some of the things that make Florida so incredibly appealing, obviously, is the great weather, but all of this beachfront property may be, the thing that is also causing a lot of people to be reluctant to relocate there because you're facing these storms, you're facing this property insurance, skyrocketing property insurance, impossibility in certain instances of even getting property insurance. And so you are already starting to see a reversal of some of those trends.
Yeah, exactly.
Something to watch for sure.
Look, there's a lot of stuff going on. The point is that if you really look at a lot of the demographics, like we're watching Florida now go red. I'm watching with great interest how North Carolina is going to go and what the margins of that will look like. Disproportionately a lot wider than the more economically dynamic swing, the Sun Belt states. I really am also watching Nevada. Nevada's had a ton of economic development in the last couple of years. They've also had big changes in terms of like their political outlook and who they may vote for. So America's changing a lot. America is changing a lot. I think it's part of the most exciting things about covering this stuff. And, a lot of the bull case for Florida is now becoming a little bit of a bear case. So you should definitely think about that when you are making decisions. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.